Alright, in this video, I'm going to share how to get started with email segmentation so you can scale your revenue from email marketing without burning out your list by emailing them too much. What's going on, guys? My name is Kyle Stout, founder of Elevate and Scale. We help e-commerce businesses elevate their brand and scale their growth through email marketing. Our clients usually see between 30 to 50% of their total revenue attributed to email marketing. So if you'd like to generate more sales on autopilot from your emails, be sure to subscribe to the channel for more videos like this one. Now let's get into it. Okay, so first thing right off the bat, maybe you've never heard of email segmentation before. Maybe you've heard me mention it in some of my podcast interviews or some of the other videos on my channel. Or maybe you just stumbled here through YouTube search, but you don't know what it is. Really quickly, an email marketing segment is a smaller group within the total list of email subscribers. So these are small groups of people, not always small groups, but they're groups of people that you group together based on certain parameters that you set. So it could be based on their purchase history, demographics, engagement, and tons of other behaviors and characteristics depending on the software you're using. So we're going to be talking about Klaviyo in this video. That's the email service provider I recommend for e-commerce businesses. And then we're also going to go over a few broad categories of segments. So the few that I would recommend starting off with would be things like your engagement segments, customer lifecycle segments, and then product interest segments. So I'll break those down later in the video and show you some examples of how to create those. But really quickly, before we dive into creating those segments, just in case you're not familiar with what segmentation is, or obviously we just said what it is, but if you're not really sure about why you should be using it, I want to give you a few things to consider. So if you want to scale up your revenue from email marketing, you need to be able to send more emails over time to the people on your list. But the challenge here is that you don't want to annoy people and end up getting more people unsubscribing than you have people joining the list, because that defeats the whole purpose of customer retention. And that is what the game is with email marketing, is you want to retain customers and get more repeat purchases from them over time. So you have to figure out a way to do this where you can scale this up and send more emails without sending every email to everyone on your list. And that's where segmentation comes into play. So another reason segmentation is useful is that it allows you to make your content more personalized to the people that are receiving that email. Because remember, you're breaking down your whole list, which, yes, they have some similarities, some shared interests and values and all that, but you're breaking them down to smaller groups where now you have more information about everyone within that particular segment, and then you can craft an email that speaks more specifically to that group that's within your larger list of email subscribers. So it's, again, just the more likely that someone's getting email content that it resonates with them, the more likely they are to actually enjoy that email and want to get more emails from you. So then finally, one last reason segmentation is really useful is because you can track things like the engagement and average order value of those segments. So that way you can measure the effectiveness of your marketing to those groups over time. So there's certain segments you might end up creating, like repeat buyers and VIP segments, or people who are interested in particular products, and you can monitor those groups over time. So especially with like your VIP buyers, you really want to take care of those people, and you want to make sure that the average order value and their engagement is staying up and hopefully even getting better over time. So, okay, now you have a pretty good idea of, what an email segment is and why you should use them. So now let's jump into Klaviyo. I'm going to share my screen here, and I'm going to show you how to create a few of these segments. It's very easy. So a lot of times people hear this stuff, they hear all the terminology, and they think it's really complicated. It's really not. So it's just a matter of figuring out how to do it in the particular software you're using. So if you're using a tool like MailChimp, you're going to need to upgrade to something better. But if you're using one of the better email service providers, then this is super easy to do. So let me hop in here and share my screen. This is going to be a dummy account, just so you know. So there really won't be a whole lot of people on the list. Okay, so in Klaviyo, and the new dashboard looks a little different here, but if you go to lists and segments, and then that's going to, again, the newer dashboard, this is going to be consolidated, I believe, under profiles. and then you go to create list / segment here, and then you have lists and segments. So lists, what we want to do is we want to create segments. Lists are more for if you have a list that you're going to be uploading from a different source, or maybe you are trying to build out lists that are tied to certain opt-in forms. That's really where you want to use lists. In this case, we're looking at your entire list, all of your subscribers, no matter if they're on, you could have multiple lists within this account. So we're looking at all the contacts you have across all of your lists, and then we're going to be creating groups of people based on the conditions that we set. So then you just click this right here, and you're going to have this ability to create a segment. So you give your segment a name, and then you're going to set the conditions for how people get into this particular group. So now again, this is a dummy account tied to an inactive Shopify store, just so I can do examples for you. So a lot of the options that you see once you get into, once you click an option here, a lot of these, there's not going to be as many options here as you will see in your account, assuming you have an active Shopify store. But I want to cover a couple of things. So this right here, what someone has done or not done, this is what's going to be, you're going to use this one for a lot of your segments. So then you can go in here, you can create segments based around if people have opened emails, clicked emails, received emails, if they've ordered a product, if they've started the checkout, all these different things. So let's just say opened email. Let's just say we wanted to create a list of people who have opened any email that you've sent them in the last 2 months, right? So then what we would put here is we've got opened email, opened at least once, and instead of overall time, we'll say in the last 60 days. And then there you go. Then you would name this, give it a name, and hit create segment, and it would create that. But now I want to show you a few different segments, a few different categories of segments that you should get started with. The first would be your engagement segments. So I've already created one here. So let's just jump in here. So there's no one in here. Again, you would normally see a list of people in that. Okay, so 30-day, this is a really common segment, and I recommend creating these. You can do like 14-day engaged, 30-day, 60-day, 90-day. I would go all the way up to 180 days. And this right here just means that someone has engaged with your brand in the last 30 days. Now, the conditions for how you define engagement are up to you. What I typically do is that they've opened an email or clicked an email, or they've been active on site within that time frame. Now, one thing that's really important here is that if you were to put opened email and then you were adding this and you clicked and, so if you add an and condition, that means that they have to do both of those things to end up in this group. That means everyone who opened an email but didn't click, or everyone who clicked but didn't open, of course that wouldn't be possible, would not end up in here, only those who did both. So if you're trying to make this group wider, then you can use more ors. If you're trying to go more exclusive, then you use more ands. And you can kind of like, pick and choose how you combine these and test them and look at how big the group is, and you can kind of play with it. So for here, I've got that they've opened an email or clicked an email, or they've been active on site in the last 30 days. So if they've done one of these three things in the last month, then they are engaged. They are within the 30-day engaged group. Another thing I put in here, this is kind of a fail-safe. You don't really have to do this, but I like to throw in and if someone is not suppressed, just to make sure we're not accidentally emailing suppressed people. Sometimes weird things happen with the email software, so I like to put in fail-safes when I'm setting up a lot of automations and things like that, but that's not really that necessary. Okay, so the thinking here with your engagement-based segments is that the people who are the most engaged want to get the most emails from you typically, because again, by being in this group, it shows that they have been opening or clicking or visiting your site in the last 30 days. Once people move over to the 60-day engaged, but they're not in the 30-day engaged anymore, that means it's been over a month, and it's, the last time that they engaged was sometime within the last 60 days, but you can have these set up to exclude each other or include each other in these groups. But as someone goes further out in a timeline of having not engaged with you, it means that there's a lack of interest for one reason or another. It could just be that they they needed a very specific product, they got it, and they're just not interested in anything else right now. And maybe they just stopped opening your emails. It could be that they no longer use that email address anymore. It could be that your emails are going to spam for them for some reason. They just haven't even received them. They don't even know. It could be that you're emailing them too much and they've just gotten annoyed with you, so they've stopped opening them. So there's a million different reasons, but a lot of those reasons don't necessarily mean that they don't like your brand or don't like your products anymore. A lot of times people, they are in a certain season where, again, like maybe it was a gift for someone else and they don't have a personal interest in that thing, but maybe they would be wanting to buy something else from you as a gift for someone else later. Or maybe they just got what they needed now, and again, they're just not really that interested to buy anything else right now. But if you had a big sale, a big holiday sale, they would want to know about it. Or if you had a new product launch, maybe they've already bought up all your products, then they would want that new thing. They would still want to know. So there's a reason why you don't want to just completely neglect these people who stop engaging, but you want to give them a little bit of a break, right? So you don't want to email them as frequently because they've already shown that they don't want as many, they don't want to engage as often. So rather than just you keep showing up and they just build this habit of continuing to ignore you, or they just unsubscribe or hit spam or something like that, it's better to just kind of get off their radar for a minute, give them a little break. And that way, when you do email them again, it's more of a surprise. They haven't heard from you in a little while, and they're more likely to open again, and they're more likely to re-engage. So that's kind of the thinking. There's a lot of different approaches you can take with these different engagement segments, but that's just something to think about in the back of your mind as you're planning out campaigns when it comes to the engagement groups. Okay, now let's look at customer lifecycle segments. So these would be things like leads, one-time customers, and I'll show you a couple here that I've created. So let's see here. Actually, we're going to go edit definition. So this is set up to where these are only leads, people who have never purchased before. So what I've done is I went to what someone has done or not done, then placed order. So you can see underneath the Shopify conditions here, 0 times overall time, and then I've got this fail safe about them not being suppressed. So then for one-time customers, it's the same thing, except so we've got placed order, except we changed this to equals 1 overall time. So in this case, we're not looking for all customers, it's just only one-time customers. If we were looking for all customers, then we would say at least once over all time. So, and you see how you can have, is it least, is greater than, is less than. You can change these different conditions to build out different rules. So you might want to have, you might consider your repeat customers to be people who have purchased between 2 or 3 times. And then maybe VIPs are people who have purchased 3 or more. Or maybe VIPs are people who have purchased 5 or more times. Or maybe it's because they've spent a certain amount. So there's all these different rules that you can set for that. And so again, just to kind of give you some insight on how you can use this to craft content for these people, if we look at the spectrum of customers you have on one end of the spectrum, you have leads, so people who have never purchased from you, and then you have on the other end, you have your VIP customers. These are the brand loyalists. They've likely spent a lot of money with you. Maybe they've bought everything you have for sale, but you know that they like the brand. They like your products. They're probably similar to you in some way. You probably have shared values, shared interests, that kind of stuff. You're going to have a different conversation with these 2 different groups. Leads, they need to be sold more on your company, your brand, and on your products. They need to know, more about what's your brand all about. They need to know more about the specific features and benefits of the products that you're selling, because again, they're just not sold yet. Or they would have purchased already. They haven't been convinced yet. So you need to do a little bit more convincing. And then maybe they could just, again, sometimes these people are kind of familiar with you and sometimes they're total strangers. So you got to, kind of consider of like how much education do they need? How much awareness do they have on whatever the lifestyle or whatever is around your products? So if you sell some sort of topical products for dogs that are all natural. Do they know the difference between your products and the standard products that they would find in the store? Do they even, how do they even find out about this? So like, do they have any education on that sort of thing at all? Or are they already totally aware that yours are very different, but maybe it's more about, the price or more about the specific ingredients that you're using and they're picky about the ingredients? So this is where you need to understand your customers and really give some thought to that. But you can test those different angles of those different selling points and see which drives the best results and kind of figure out, okay, at this stage, this is more of what they need. So then the same thing with your customers, repeat customers, your VIP customers. You get to a point where the VIP customers is going to be more of just a friendly conversation with a close friend, or with someone who's in the same club as you. You already know you have the same interests. You already know that they know what your brand is all about. They likely already know a lot about your products. So the way you have that conversation with them is very, very differently. It's no longer about having to necessarily sell them on the features. Now it could be more of, them getting early access, just knowing that something is back in stock. Like, those things are going to be a lot more exciting to your VIP customers than they will be to people who have never purchased from you. Okay, and so the last group I want to talk about would be product interest segments. So this is creating segments for people who have either they've shown interest or they have purchased a particular product, or it could be an entire collection of products. And again, I'll give you a quick overview on the thinking behind that. So just as an example here, so let's just say we wanted to create a group of repeat buyers for a particular product. So again, we're using the exact same thing, placed order. In this case, we're going to say is at least 2 overall time. And then here, when you get into the filter, this is where you could put in a particular collection, or you could put in particular items. So what I've got here is this random product, newborn baby waterproof bibs. So this segment is only going to include people who have placed at least 2 or more orders from this particular product. And I like to create, for these kind of segments, I like to create groups of people who are interested in a particular product. And one thing you can do for that is you could say, let's see here, that they've how you define interest is up to you, but you could include any combination of people who have purchased that product, people who have viewed that particular product, and people who have initiated or added that product to cart or started the checkout with that product, and maybe they haven't purchased. So you can have these different combinations. So you might have it to where you exclude buyers, but you include everyone who's viewed the product and added it to cart and all that kind of stuff. So again, it's going to be based on your own preferences, how you set that up. But I like to have an interest group, a buyer group, and then a repeat buyer group for the main products or collections that are important to any particular brand. Because again, I want to be able to do marketing to those people that's more personalized to them, but also for those big products and collections that drive a ton of revenue. We want to watch those interest groups and watch how they change over time and make sure that we're maintaining good engagement with them and we're generating good average order values and all of that kind of stuff. So, and then again, going back to what I talked about versus like the leads versus customers and all of that, the messaging is going to be different. So here in this case, you already know what they're interested in. So now the email can be framed all around the particular types of products, the particular problems that it solves, and all the things that they can gain from purchasing that product in that email. So you don't have to focus, there's no need to focus on other products unless you're doing some sort of cross-selling or upselling, where now it's like maybe you just know that people who buy this particular product, it could be that to, level up. Like let's just say it's a hobby niche. These are awesome because people are super passionate. A lot of times they want to get better. So, if you're in the photography space and, it's first you get your first camera and then you start upgrading to more lenses and then maybe you're getting more accessories for as far as like mics and tripods and all that kind of stuff. Or it could be golf where you start off with like your basic, basic club set, and then you want to upgrade and get nicer clubs over time for, particular shots. And anyways, whatever the case is, there's in those kind of spaces, there's always this advancement that they're trying to make. And then in other cases, it could be something where, let's just say you're talking about like skincare or something where people find a solution for one thing. Maybe they find a solution for acne. Like maybe maybe that's the main thing that gets you new customers is people show up because they have acne. You have this really great acne product. And now the acne is starting to clear up. They're feeling good. They're feeling confident. And then they're wanting to take even more. They really want to get even deeper into this whole skincare routine that they've got going on. And maybe now you take them into some products just for moisture, just for like moisturizing your skin, dealing with dry skin. Maybe the acne treatment, maybe whatever you're using for acne dries their skin out a little bit. So there's always these if you know where they're starting at, you can make a more compelling offer to them to check out another product. So again, just by knowing who they are and having some general level of interest, it's a lot easier to create content and create emails that are going to be successful with these people because you know they're interested in a particular product, you know the level of interest based on what they've done, what actions they've taken. So you can either sell them more of what they're interested in, or you can use that as an opening to sell them something else that is related to that. Or it could just be giving them content, just giving them a blog or video content or something that's related to the thing they're interested in to help them get more out of it. So again, back to the skincare, it's like helping them develop that skincare routine, helping without even trying to sell them anything, help them get better results with the products that they're already using from your brand. And that is going to nurture the relationship and help you get more repeat purchases down the line. So, okay, that's a quick overview of all of that. All right, that's it for this video on segmentation. If you have questions, please leave them below. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you found it helpful as you work on scaling up your revenue from your email marketing. Be sure to subscribe to my channel for more videos like this one, and I will see you in the next video.